Vampire is definitely a system more based around storytelling. So the mechanics are not necessarily designed to be well balanced. Like you can make some pretty ridiculous, like powerful characters in that game compared to like some others. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. All right, so let's see. Uh, so Reed was scribe last week. Gamork was gonna be scribe this week, but he is not here, obviously. After him would be Sim. I don't know if you were wanting to do it. All right, cool. That makes it a little easier. And I don't know. Hopefully, I don't know. Well, actually, if you're next week, I don't know if you want to do it 2 times in a row, though. You sure? All right, we'll put you down then. I think. I guess. May or yeah, May June has done a bunch of stories, and I think Barrel's done a couple of extras, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if everything you do is dumb, but it is always nice to have information. Yep, it's always nice to have that little bit of bonus to what you're doing. All right. So, Reed, do you want to give us a quick recap? Sort of. Yeah, you banished 2 of them.
after that, we did learn that one of the Esmira Akami, Wud, did overhear at least some of our conversation, or at least saw and heard some of it. And she accompanied us back to the Soft Spire camp, and there we met again her stepbrother Bakor, and then Bakor's paranoid bodyguard Jazik. And then there was some talk that there should be some kind of a summit between all these different powers, and that the factions could kind of coalesce and come to some kind of an understanding on how the city should be split up. That's about it.
Alright. So, did you actually talk to them much when you got back to camp, or did you just kind of arrive and we ended there?
We talked to them a little bit. When we got back, Akami basically told Bakor and Jazik, she was like, hey, by the way, these people we met earlier, they're not just some hooligans, they're the fucking tribe. And then Bakor was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's right. All right, this makes more sense now why you were out just fucking farting around in Issyk.
There was more of a we should talk more later. We didn't actually settle down and get down to any kind of brass tacks.
Yeah, that's
right,
what I sort of remember. We were going to have an actual, interaction.
Yeah, we talked a little bit, I think, but he had like a ton of questions about like just our time up until now, and then Ikami, I think, was the one who was like, "Hey, maybe we should fucking do this later."
All right. So it looks like it was around afternoon when we stopped. Bakor would just tell you, go rest, and then when you're ready to speak more, come back, because he would like to ask you some more questions. So currently, or go ahead.
Oh, could I just get the calendar day in game, because I've just lost track of that?
Yeah, so the calendar is at the top of the journal. If you look there, it should be shared. I didn't used to share it, but I decided to start sharing it again because everyone needed in-game dates. Your characters don't necessarily know the exact date and time, but you can use that.
Oh, sure. I just want to place it correctly in my notes and journal.
Yeah.
There it is. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, it's about afternoon. The group is sort of in the middle of the camp right now. There's a lot of noise coming from the east as soldiers and some laborers they brought along are trying to continue the gate building, bringing in trees they cut down from the forest nearby. The guards are just on duty. There's talking. There's sparring. The camp seems fairly active, much more than last time, as there are now probably more than twice the number of soldiers there were before, with all the Esmira that were brought by Bakor and his people. So yeah, the group's standing there. What do you all want to do?
Oh.
Do you want to do kind of separate things for a bit and then regroup and go talk to Bakor? Do you want to wait till tomorrow and talk to him? What do you all want to do? I'm going to put all your people who are not here in the background.
Sure. For me, anyway, I would say that now that it looks like we have a little more time here than we did the last time, seeing that there are many more soldiers around, with the addition of the Esmira, I think I'd just like to make my way to like some group of soldiers that is sparring, and see if they'll let me participate. I think I had sparred for just like, I don't know, literally 5 minutes before we left last time, and I didn't really have a good opportunity, A, to gauge them, or B, to develop any sort of rapport with the forces. So I'm just back at it again, trying to do those two things.
I guess I would try to talk out.
Oh,
like,
I just realized I was muted. Sorry, Reed. I was saying a bunch of stuff. Reed, I was gonna say it looks like you're a fuzzy bunny currently. You might have to change back to your warlock token.
Yep, that happens every time. Sorry.
Oh no, yeah, no worries. I wish it would freaking put it by default. I don't know why it doesn't have that option. All right, so May June. I guess I'll start with you. So you're gonna try to go spar. How long do you want to spend working on that, like sparring with people and talking to soldiers?
Approximately what time of day was? You said it looked like kind of afternoon, but it's not like
Yeah, the sun's
not approaching
overhead.
dusk.
No,
Okay.
no, it's still pretty early afternoon.
I would say I'll spend the greater time of either however long they're sparring, or like I don't know, like up until dusk slash dinner time. Like if it's
Okay,
yeah,
so
like
this is like a
I'm
whole
planning
day thing.
yeah, yeah, at least like the afternoon,
Okay.
unless, somebody has a reason to, I'm not gonna like tell people to, leave me alone. Like if something comes up, I'll definitely attend to it. But yeah, I'm looking to spend probably a couple hours at least doing it, if that's how long they're doing it. I'm not sure how long sparring typically happens in the soft spire army or with the Izmira.
What skill are you gonna use to engage? Or are
Good
you going to
question.
use a skill? Or are you just going to keep basically like more quietly just asking to spar with people? Or are you trying to chat people up?
Well, I would say, yeah, my focus is really to like understand them and the way they fight and sort of like how uh how robust their skills are. So I don't think I'm trying to. I mean, I am trying to build rapport a little bit, but that's definitely my secondary interest. So I guess I'm doing kind of like a lot of observation as I'm sparring. I'm looking out for their methods and that sort of thing.
Alright, so less to endear yourselves with the forces and more just to gain information on their abilities.
Yeah, it's a little of column A and a little column B, but really I just want to know if they're like, a bunch of guys with pitchforks and we have to look out for them, or if they, kind of more or less know what they're doing.
So I'll let you choose if you want to focus more on the observing, that would be perception, and if you want to try to be more friendly and be in more, like getting in good with the army, that would be more persuasion. You can do both. It's just what you're going to focus on. All right, so you're kind of watching things. Yeah, you spend a few hours sparring with the soldiers. Most of them seem less skilled than you'd expect a mercenary to be, but I mean, for soldiers, they're actually pretty well trained and fairly disciplined. Uh,
Okay.
During one of your sessions, as you're walking around, you're kind of in the Izmira forces sparring, and you would notice that Jazik is kind of leaning up against one of the fences and observing you as you fight the soldiers, just kind of quietly watching you. Do you want to do anything?
Yeah, if I see him take note of me, uh, I mean, he seems like a man of few words, so I'll just walk over and I'll say, it seems like the forces here are fairly well trained. Would you have any interest in sparring with me? I can always use the practice.
So he kind of looks up as you approach. Um, he says, "Yes, we do have a decently skilled group of people with us. If you're looking to spar, I could accommodate. I was waiting to speak to my lord, but he's busy. So let us spend some time on the battlefield." He kind of puts his sword down and picks up a pole, wooden staff.
Are there any other nearby staves?
Yeah, I mean, you've been kind of sparring using staves
Okay. Okay.
because they're not using
Good.
real weapons to spar.
Okay. Cool.
So he would say, "You seem to have." Well, he would say, what would he say? He says, I was told by Akami that you are, you know one of the vampires fairly well. Is that true?
It is true. We were friends for many, many years.
Are you from a similar clan or family?
In fact, he and I are, as far as I'm aware, only 2 of 3 of our specific heritage that I've met. We both come from 2 distinct races back home. One would be the Tazwanese, where we come from, live under the heel of the show, and the show is our other bloodline, and they are, by and large, a brutal, inconsiderate people. And he and I have many enemies as a result of our mixed heritage. We're not really welcome in either clan because everybody hates the half of us that isn't them. So he and I found a lot of camaraderie together when we traveled in a mercenary company.
So, just out of character, the Taswanese is the name of the subrace of humans, like one of the different offshoots of the humans. Did you have a name for your actual clan?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think that I did. I think that I had just. I know that the clan is Tazwanese, but I don't know if I ever had named it. But I certainly could.
All right. So he says the show.
Actually, yes, no, I did. The clan is the Karshan.
He says, I'm not familiar with the Karshan, but I do know of the show and of their tyranny. I'm sorry to hear that your people are laboring under their heel. He says, I hope that that situation gets figured out, and he sort of bows to you as he readies. So do you want to attack him stronger using your Great Weapon Mastery, or do you want to attack normally using just, regular attack roll?
I'll probably, since I'm curious about his fighting style as well. I'll probably begin with regular swings and then progress into slowly, probably, like, I don't know how long this bar will go, but I would say, more or less round by round, I might progress into rage and then reckless attacks and then great weapon mastery.
Alright, so first round you're doing normal.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so he actually comes out defensive. Go ahead and give me an attack roll at disadvantage.
Okay. So this would just be then. Cool. Here we go.
Guy totally just feeling out a potential threat. Oh man. Just fishing for information.
Yep.
A little bit single-minded, maybe.
There we go.
Alright.
Oh.
So you let loose a flurry of swings as you spin around as if you were attacking with your Guandao. And he is very skillfully just kind of stepping around, like left, right, ducking as your swings kind of go over into the side, and he's kind of been dodging your first flurry of attacks. How do you want to attack him the next round?
I think
I won't do too many of these. I'm just kind of curious to game out how this goes.
Sure.
Because I know the other people probably want to do stuff.
Yeah, sure. Well, I guess it would be kind of. Do you plan? So if we would to be doing, like, say 4 of them, I'll probably do rage on this one and then reckless on the next one and great weapon master on the next. Do you want me to do less rounds than that?
Alright, so you roar as you fly into a rage. I think he is going to. What's the ability called? I want to look it up. Give me a moment.
Mm-hmm.
He is going to use. Actually, as you rage. Alright, yeah, he's going to use Fighting Spirit on this round and kind of
Nice.
unload a bit on you. As he takes a bunch of swings, moving a lot quicker than you thought he should be able to. So go ahead and give me an attack roll.
Okay. And this is not with disadvantage, right? Because you said he's
Yeah, he's
attacking
just
this round.
attacking
Okay.
now.
Come on.
Ew.
Yeah, there we go. That's better.
Alright, so you trade blows for a while as your staffs kind of clang off of each other. Him moving in much more to strike. But you said you weren't using great weapon, right?
Correct. Not on this one, and also not recklessly yet.
Okay, so he would land actually quite a few hits as you land a few as well, beating you up a little bit, but you get a couple of good hits on him as you circle each other. What are you doing for the next round?
For the next one, I will attack recklessly.
Alright, so he is actually going to be defensive this turn, so go ahead and roll with a wash. Still normal, I assume,
Right.
right?
Okay. Yep. And then after this, hopefully I'll open.
Oh
with two.
man.
And actually, what I'll do, I don't know. You tell me how you want to do it, but would I be able to apply superiority dice in this situation?
Sure, if you want to use the resource. I mean,
Yeah, for
it
sure,
is,
absolutely.
okay, so go ahead and give me a d8 to that.
Oh fuck me,
Oh wow.
Jesus.
So you come out again with a bunch of swings, raging and kind of recklessly attacking, but he is kind of keeping you back a bit, defending, and not actually doing much in the way of offense. You're wondering, I mean, I don't know if you feel like he's taunting you, but you do feel like he's more like reading you and judging how you fight than actually trying to defeat you, if that makes sense.
Man. He's gonna
Yeah.
get paranoid though. You rolled a 1 and a 2. Both rounds he went defensive to see what you would do. He might think you're being super cagey and sandbagging.
Yeah.
I know.
Think you're like really close to the chest. Get all paranoid about it.
That's what round 4 is for. Hopefully, we'll see.
Alright, so round 4, what are you doing?
Rage, reckless, and great weapon master.
Alright, he is
Just crit him.
going to actually do another fighting spirit.
Okay, I was gonna say, motherfucker better not dodge. Alright, come on. Big bunny.
Oh man.
And we'll do, I have one more fucking die.
Okay.
Jesus!
So you do pretty good. Not as good as you were hoping, but you do land a couple of really nasty hits.
Nice.
He as well lands a bunch of hits on you. And overall, you both kind of finish up a little bit tired. Him seeming maybe a little bit surprised at how quick and powerful you are, and you surprised that you didn't murder him more, as he was able to keep most of your attacks at bay.
Yeah, indeed. You said, some things I might have identified is that, in at least one round he was making swings faster than usual, and also that he had a bit of a fighting spirit, as you say.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, cool.
Yeah, so you would probably guess that he has samurai training, because you may have seen, especially where you're from, you may have seen this type of fighting before.
Perfect.
And you would probably guess he is, he's definitely no mere soldier. I mean, you saw him use like a smite in the battle.
Oh, that's true.
So he seems to have quite the array of skills. But he would bow to you after the fight and say, well done, Meijun. I hope we can spar again later. And he goes to give you a handshake.
Well done to you as well. That was refreshing, and I'll give him a handshake.
Alright. He nods and he heads back into the house, probably to meet with his master. So, Reed, what do you want to do?
I guess I want to schedule a talk with Lady Softspire and see.
Like a private talk?
Not necessarily, no. Just to see if she would be available to, come to some kind of a conference later either tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah, so you go inside and talk to her. She says, well, Bakor said you all wish to speak to us in general. Is this what you're speaking of, or did you want to just speak to me personally, you and your group?
Well, I mean, I would hate to, kind of club you together uh, with the Asmira. I mean, obviously, you are two separate groups, and you may have different, uh, wants and purposes here in Isaac. So, I mean, but in general, I would like both of you and some other leaders in Isaac to come together and have some sort of a discussion about the future of this place.
She says, well, I would be happy to speak with you and whoever else you think would be good to speak with. Did you have anyone in particular in mind?
Like who would attend?
Yes.
Yeah, so there will be a quite a variety of somewhat dubious individuals. However, they are extremely powerful.
An eclectic mix.
Yes, and I think it's best to go into this with an open mind. Like none of the people that we invite to this group are have 100% of our trust or support. Uh, we are always careful in who we run into in the city on how much we can trust them. So
Makes sense. From what I hear, there's quite a few interested factions, which is surprising. I thought we'd get here and find mindless undead to be defeated, but it seems like there's a little ecosystem at work in Isaac.
yes, yeah, there are individuals controlling the undead here, and then there are some of the undead themselves, which speak for themselves. I guess you'd say.
She nods and says, "So, you you feel that these meetings should just be myself and your group, not include the Asmira?" She kind of
No,
lowers her voice when she says that.
no, not necessarily. But I recognize that you are two separate families, and you may have separate desires and goals. That's all. I
I see. She says, "It's true. We do have our own goals and reasons for being here. The council has said, though, that the Asmira forces are to lead the effort, and I am, of course, loyal to the Empire, and will do as asked, as the soft spires always do. We are good citizens of the Empire. Give me what's your or give me an insight check."
go insight.
All right. Yeah, she seems like she's being honest.
Okay.
She
All right.
says, "Did you have a time in mind for this meeting, or was this to be multiple meetings with different factions of Isaac?"
I'd like it to be all one big meeting, but I don't know how realistic it is to schedule it. And there are certain powers that are kind of tethered to a certain area, so there might be some travel involved in discussing things.
I see. Well, we are still getting our bearings within Isaac. I think your group has been here much longer and has a much better idea of the terrain. So, of course, if you have ideas as to how you'd like to schedule these talks, I will defer to your wisdom. And I think Bakor would feel the same way.
Okay. And then I want to go out and find Sim.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna say, Sim, we're gonna talk to the Azmira and see if we can set up a date either tomorrow or the next day, fairly soon, for them to join us. And I'd like you to lead the discussion. I'm going to give you something that allows you to maybe have a better idea of what I'm gonna do this on at the meeting itself, but I want you to try it out. So I'm gonna cast True Seeing on Sim and see if he can detect anything from our Azmira friends, to see if maybe they're hiding something, or
Do
if
you
anyone's...
have the 25 gold piece components?
I did not. Yes. Actually, I'm going to go look for those components. But Sim, why don't you go speak with the Azmira while I see if maybe Beryl has something in her bag that we can maybe put something to use.
What are you casting this from again?
So this is the 6th level spell I chose as my
Mystic Arcana.
Mystic Arcanum. I get
Okay.
one. I get to cast it once a day.
All right. Does it mention anything about it being free or anything like that?
Yeah, without a spell slot, but it
I think,
doesn't say.
yeah, all the
All
other
right.
requirements are normal, I think.
Yeah.
So, but this isn't actually a warlock spell, right? This is a cleric spell, or is it a warlock spell?
It's warlock spell, yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So, being a warlock spell, you can use arcane components to replace the ointments.
Okay. I'll go talk to Beryl and say, which one of the arcane components?
We've
Got so
got
much
one.
crap in this bag.
Do you have access to the party treasury?
Yeah.
All right. So she would probably be like, "Oh yes," and she'd bring out the bag and start just rifling through, throwing things around, as that seems like a Beryl thing to do.
All right.
And I believe there are arcane components in the party treasury.
Okay.
There are.
I'll take like 50 out, so I have two uses on me at any given time.
All right. So you get 50 gold pieces worth of arcane components, and yeah, you can now cast True Seeing.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
you said you're casting it on someone.
Yeah, I'll cast it on Sim, and then we'll go talk to the Azmira. Just
All right. So before we do that, Sim, were you doing anything before Reed came to speak with you?
Sure. I mean, while he was with Orella, I probably would have gone to their infirmary or field hospital or whatever it is they have and offered whatever healing they needed. I'm full up on spells, so.
All right.
And I don't think we're doing anything threatening today.
Give me a d20 roll.
Ooh, fun. These are always fun.
Alright, so it seems there was an exchange recently with some of the soldiers and undead attacking the wall, and several soldiers on both sides, the Azmira and the Softspire, were pretty badly wounded. If you want, you can expend heals to make sure that they survive.
I can certainly do so.
Alright, so you can expend up to probably 5 healing spells, or up to 5 levels of healing spells to heal them all, or however many you want to do.
5 levels of healing spells is pretty trivial.
like,
I will.
Yeah, like 5 first level, 2 second level, first level, but adding up to 5. Do you want to use some slots?
I will certainly go ahead and do that. I'm not just going to let people die when I've got spells to burn.
Alright, so as the medics are kind of furiously working to keep them comfortable and make sure that they're doing okay, you come in and start using healing magics, which everyone is very grateful for because it makes their life a little easier. Do you have medicine?
I do.
Give me a medicine check.
Whoa, hang on. Sorry, my Beyond is being funny.
Oh, okay. So along with the healing, you're able to use your medicine to kind of be a little bit of a field surgeon here and make sure that all the soldiers survive, even the ones with more grievous wounds. So yeah, you help save all the soldiers, and the forces are very thankful. You can put as a resource that the forces of the Esmira and the Softspire owe you a favor. So you
Okay.
can probably use, if you want, to either call upon them to help you with something, or maybe get a bonus to a check.
All right.
Maybe like a persuasion or something if you deal with them. But yes, the soldiers seem very happy with you saving the lives of some of their friends who were badly wounded. I would actually probably invite you to come drink. However, this is about the time when Reed would arrive and ask you to come talk with the, I think Esmira is what he said.
Yeah. Well, I will beg off graciously and insist that they should all come find me later. You know.
Right. They agree, and they say, yes, we'll find you later. Thank you again, friend. Alright, so you're casting True Seeing, and you're going to speak with the Esmira?
Yes.
Alright. So I guess Mei Jun is probably still sparring. You're gonna leave him out of this?
I don't know. I guess we could wait for Mei Jun to finish. I mean, that might be a spectacle. We might just want to sit back.
Maybe you came in at the end of the Bakor fight, watching them furiously slamming sticks into each other's block.
We'll start betting some money on it.
Yeah.
If during this time Reed mentions how the things with Lady Softspire went, I would perhaps tell Reed. Perhaps Lady Softspire is not the one to ask about how their interests diverge from the Esmira. It seems to me that Malistray may know more on such.
Alright. So, who are you saying this to?
Reed.
Oh, okay. While you're watching the fight?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Alright. Well, I'll say the fight ends. Mei Jun, you'd probably see them watching you and maybe come walk over, right?
Sure, yeah.
Alright. So, what do you want to say to Mei Jun?
Gonna go chat up the Esmira clan and see if they want to join in a summit.
Yeah, seems wise.
You need time to towel off or something?
Well, I could use a breather, but I'm sure we'll have time for breathers later.
Alright. So it's Akami, Bakor, and Jazik, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And actually, when you arrive, you would see them all there, along with Lady Softspire. Not talking to each other right now, but just talking with some of the other people who are there. You would also see that Malistray is there. Get everyone's picture on here. So, Kami. Jazik is not here right now, but yeah, Malistray is here.
He was at one point.
That's weird. I didn't see him appear on the screen. Oh, there he is. Alright, so yeah, you see them all in here. As you walk up, Bakor nods and motions you all to come over. He says, the tribe, you've returned. How are you enjoying your stay at the camp?
Great. Good food, good times.
This is excellent.
We would like to discuss the future here in Issyk, and it looks like we have both representatives from the Asmira and the Softspires here to discuss. I already spoke with Lady Softspire, but I just want to discuss possibly setting up a meet in the next day or two, and bring together some of the factions here in Issyk to discuss the future of the city and how it should be potentially divided, and what alliances might be able to be formed, and so maybe agreements could be made to lessen the potential of misunderstandings and bloodshed, to at least let people speak and let everyone know what their purpose is, and if there's any potential common threat that the groups could defeat before getting back to the business of deciding how this city should function in the future.
Alright, does anyone have a passive insight of 16 or over?
Mine is 15.
Okay.
Just shy, yeah, 15.
Yeah.
Alright. He would nod and say, well, yes, of course. We are here to try to figure out what is to happen next with Issyk. I would be more than happy to speak with any factions that still hold sway here. I thought we'd just come here finding enemies, but it sounds like your group has found some more reasonable undead, which is not something I thought even existed. I was led to believe that undead were all dangerous abominations. This is quite surprising. And Akami would say, many are. On average, most undead are dangerous and destructive beings, but it is not unheard of that every now and then some do have intelligence and reserve and aren't just bloodthirsty fiends. And Bakor nods. He says, I heard a bit about your meeting with Arella, Lady Softspire, of course, excuse me. She smiles. And he says, you say that there might be some traveling needed, that the denizens of Issyk could not just come here and meet at our camp. Is that right?
It is certainly true that at least one has restrictions on movement, and perhaps some others would feel wary of approaching camp, and perhaps you would not want them inside your walls.
He says, well, truth be told, I would rather have their diplomats inside my walls than have to transverse Issyk. It's still a very dangerous city. Give me persuasion checks from Sim and Reed, since they were the ones speaking. Oh.
Jesus.
Okay then.
Fuck.
We're warlocks, you know.
You got something for me, Sim? Oh, 27. Okay. So he would kind of scratch his chin and nod and say, well, do you know the exact logistics of where these factions would want to meet? And I don't know if I've asked you what these factions or who these factions are. I guess we were going to talk about that, but my sister here had said that you needed a rest, and she smiles. but maybe this is the time for you to tell me more about these factions and what threats they might pose us, if any.
Spoken like a military commander. Immediately you know there are other factions and you say threats they pose.
He nods. He says, well, it is wise to be wary of the unknown.
It's fair enough.
He says, until I assess them, they are all threats to me.
Well, in truth, I am come only recently to Isik, and what I have seen in a short time suggests to me there may be more than even I have learned under the guidance of the rest of tribe here. But I am happy to tell you what I know. But I am no scout or spy, so perhaps what I can tell you does not rise to the level of military intelligence.
He says, well, any information is good. Anything you have.
As you have surmised, there are vampires in the city. We have learned more of their situation, but again, I am hoping to not position myself as ambassador to horrible monstrosities. So I will perhaps let them tell their own story as opportunity arises. But they are, as many undead in the city are, recently freed due to disruptions in forces that previously controlled more of undead in Isik.
He says, well, I've seen the vampires to be untrustworthy. They've already killed many a good soldier. And
Untrustworthy perhaps, but are in fact operating under leadership of single figure, Cao Meng. And for now, he has agreed to restrain his underlings until some negotiation can be had. So, if he is true to word, over the next few days you will see fewer vampire attack, and perhaps if we wait too long to begin negotiation, they will start again. We have earned reprieve.
give me a persuasion check. He says, yes, I suppose we'll see. So, what about these ghouls? Are they fighting for some faction, or are they just mindless denizens of the city attacking anything that moves? Because it seems like the latter.
From what we understand, the ghouls are in two separate factions, one of which is run by a mind flayer, an evil, creepy mind flayer that we are no longer in any kind of deal with. We had to deal with him earlier on a not a mind flayer. I'm sorry, an Alhoon, an undead mind flayer.
Did you say that Malastre says undead mind flayer? As you say
Yeah.
too. As Bakor kind of looks at you and says, Alhoon, mind flayer, Akami says, it is a very dangerous being, often lurking within the Underdark. I could tell you more about them later. Suffice to say, they are not to be trusted and are extremely dangerous. And he says, magic user? And she says, generally, but more specifically, a master of deceptive and psionic powers. He says, yes.
Hard fight, but perhaps best to try to take fight to this one. My understanding is there were once many of these controlling all of the ghouls in Isik, but again, some disruption. Now there is one left, and or perhaps that one is dead. I have not seen, but that one is in contest, in struggle for control of ghouls with a human necromancer we have met and found to be quite reasonable. Who claims she is here to study art of necromancy without nefarious intent. And between the two of them, if one has to control ghouls of Isik, I would choose the necromancer. But I would rather not have so many ghouls in Isik. And I do not know. the ghouls that the necromancer controlled do not seem to be well controlled. So perhaps within her power to have them refrain from any attack. But as for the remainder of ghouls, some are still under a hun, and perhaps some are left free in tug of war between them.
A necromancer, Malistray says. I'm guessing she is not licensed if she is specialized in necromancy.
I did not ask. And if she is working in...
Go ahead, sorry.
And if she is working in place like Isik and only practicing her arts on those long dead and lost, perhaps no one comes to ask after her documentation.
Do you happen to have her name? Malistray asks.
Again, I do, but I actually do not know how much she would have me tell you, but I suppose her name cannot be so harmful. She introduced herself as Elodie.
Lady Saucefire says Malistray is actually quite a respected member of the Crimson Dagger. He is very skilled not only at hunting undead, but also hunting wizards and mages who break the laws. Malistray nods. He says, I've been doing it for a while. Elodie. Bakura looks at him. Do you recognize the name? He says, No, I can't say I do.
But we are only recently met. For all I know, she lied to us.
It's true. It's hard to know if you can trust a unlicensed magic user. Although
she
I doubt...
is eager.
Go ahead, sorry.
She is eager to meet the people who came here, and certainly did not attack us on sight, and in fact rendered us aid, despite our misgivings about her intent.
Give me a persuasion check. Reed's been quiet, right? He's kind of sitting back and letting Sim take this.
Yeah.
Alright, so yeah.
What? Did I click the wrong thing? Oops.
That's fine. I'll say you can use the 20. So, Malistray says, well, I will agree with you that if I had to choose between an Alhoon and an unlicensed necromancy master, I'd probably go with the necromancer. But still, that is, it's a low bar.
It's true. I have worries too about what happens if we remove Alhun and then Necromancer takes up all of ghouls. Perhaps then she is free to do more things that she has not told us of yet, and I do not know her plans. I do not trust her. I just trust her more than other options for immediate future, perhaps.
Akami kind of leans on the top of her staff and says, well, maybe we'd all be more at ease if we could meet this necromancer. Do you think she'd be willing? You said she did want to come speak with us. Is that the case?
She expressed willingness to speak and desire to make herself known so that she could pursue her studies without concern for greater conflict. But most particularly, she expressed desire to see Cathedral, which I know Imperial forces have interest in, and wanted to meet before forces collide there.
Bakor looks unsure. He says, I don't know if we should trust someone who would defile the dead for their own purposes. I do not like necromancers or the means they employ to gain power.
To be sure, neither do I, but there is more than one way to make world brighter. One is to shed more light, which I prefer, but there is also to see better in darkness, which one cannot do without perhaps at least making some overture.
He is right, Bakor, Akami says. We should hear her out. We need all the help we can get. The city is going to be quite the undertaking. And Dorella nods. She says, I think it would be good to, yes, as you said, meet with her and see if we can suss out her intentions. And if we find that she's a threat, we can try to, I don't know, well, maybe just convince her to not be a threat to us in our ventures here. Bakor nods. He says, "All right, go ahead."
I'm gonna like elbow Sim and be like, speaking of seeing things, do you see, are you taking note of like anything around here? Are there any invisible people kind of listening in, or what kind of you know? I'm just kind of like whispering, like, are you taking notes here, or like, do they have like a bunch of magic items on them, or?
Does True Seeing reveal magical items?
Only certain ones. If there are active illusory or transmutation effects, I would see the base state, I think. But
Let's see.
and anything rendered invisible, I would see, I think. Right, you have to look actually for the description of True Sight, I guess.
Yeah, no, I still have the description here.
Yeah.
You don't see anything that looks like an invisible person or someone in the ethereal plane. Everything seems, everything seems above board.
Okay.
It doesn't look like they have any spies hiding in the corner listening, but yeah, nothing jumps out at you. At least not in here. Bakor says, "Well, why don't we make arrangements? I think it would be best if, assuming it was okay with you, tribe, that you spoke to these factions on our behalf and maybe sussed out what would be the best way for us to all meet, since they seem to already have a bit of a relationship with you. I could send my people to talk to them, but I feel it wouldn't go as well since they don't know me or what my plans are. Whereas if you maybe went on my behalf, you could let them know I wish to act in good faith."
Such agreement is what we were waiting for, what we needed before proceeding to make arrangements. It would require travel through city just to make arrangements, invitations. So we had presumed that we would take part in such. There is one concern. One other faction. One more, perhaps others. Two others that we should make mention of. There is a court of a sort of sword wraiths. I am not sure what manner of spectral being they are, but they seem intelligent and organized, much like an ordinary court, except they all happen to be ghosts, led by a queen by name of Dainara, who, perhaps by nature of her undeath, is confined to chambers below ground near the keep.
Perhaps cursed, Malistray asks.
Perhaps. I did not inquire deeply, but she is very interested in securing a future for her court and her people here, and seemed quite friendly, but she cannot leave her chambers, so we are left in position either of forcing her to rely on emissaries or requiring Summit to travel to her. I do not yet know how to resolve.
Yes, actually, Jazik told me of ghosts around the city, though they almost seem to be avoiding us.
Yes, the queen mentioned she had no desire for risking safety of her people by engaging in military conflict.
I see. Well, then, it seems like she wishes for peace. I can respect that. If she cannot meet us here, if we wish to include her in these talks, we might have to go see her where she is. Were there other factions?
Well, there are the Revenants, which I'm still unsure. Some of them seem to have some relation to Kalmeng, others, But if they are a faction, they must be dealt with, perhaps harshly. I do not know. And I do not know how I would speak to them if they have central leader. But it is worth considering, since any future for Isaac must have some way to address Revenant's presence. If there is to be people in the city, there will always be more fodder for Revenants. And then there are an ancient curiosity. We encountered in tunnels below Isaac something brought up from deeper below in response again to perturbations above. Have you heard of Warforged?
No.
Constructed life.
Didn't you mention them to these people when you first met them?
Oh,
I thought
we?
you had mentioned
Oh, yeah,
the
all right.
Warforged, because
We definitely mentioned to Akami.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, did you mention that to her off to the side?
I don't remember. I think we might have been talking about it on the way back from Cow Meg.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's when that happened.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, she definitely.
Okay, yeah, so Bakor would look a bit confused, and Akami would say, the Warforged are an ancient peoples, made of stone and metal, much like constructs, but with a much greater sense of free will. And Bakor nods. He says, I see.
They are ascending from vaults below. They claim heritage as former slaves of dwarves of the 12th age, long time ago. But they may have interest in dwarven constructs up here, which made me concerned for, again, plans for Cathedral to Moradin.
So, Lady Softspire nods and she says, Warforged, fascinating. I have read about them, but I've never met one. It's said that... Or go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I don't think someone would interrupt this one.
So yeah, she says, I've read about them, but never met one. I've heard rumors that there are some very, I want to say rare, but there are some that travel the Empire. But yes, their people are extremely rare.
Well, I do not know how many are here under the city, but if they are numerous, they perhaps would be valuable allies, since I do not think many forms of undeath quite work the same way with them.
So you said you've spent weeks within the city, yes? Lady Softspire says?
Tribe has.
Or yes, the tribe has, and you haven't seen these Warforged before this time. They are a more recent arrival.
Very recent, yes.
I see. She says, "Well, it's an unknown for sure, but maybe they are more willing to speak than the undead. Who knows? We'll just have to see." Bakor says, "Another faction to placate." Seems like they're coming out of the woodwork. Any others?
There are many other undead in the city who perhaps have enough sapience to speak, but not fully knowing what your plans for city or plans in city are. Perhaps not so important.
He nods. He says, "Well, if those are the major ones, it's someplace for us to start. I would be interested maybe to meet with the Warforged first, as at least they are not undead and maybe more willing to negotiate."
Perhaps.
Do you even know
But
where they are?
We only have vague idea. We encountered the scout, so we would have to go find them. They would certainly be the hardest to establish any relation with initially.
So remember, the scout did mention to you that they were under the cathedral.
They did mention they were under cathedral, but I have not been under cathedral. I do not know how far that is.
So he nods and says, "Why don't I send some scouts over there to get a better look at things and see what we're dealing with?" And Akami nods. She says that might be a good start. And
I would caution, perhaps Warforged are least distasteful to open diplomatic relation with, but there is sense of urgency. I do not know what kind of plan Cao Meng had for holding his underlings in check, but he did assert they were under drive by curse to consume of blood. So their restraint, if it runs out, it could sour talks before they begin. And the necromancer LOD expressed intention to investigate Cathedral in 2-3 days' time, something like that. So at the very least, we would have to tell her to delay if you wish to delay longer. I think it might take as much as a week to try to find everyone and a place to meet, but I do still think it would be better for everyone to speak at once. Because none of these factions are working together. The undead do not all know each other. And any war becomes large war very quickly with so many moving about. And I do not wish to see this such a war.
give me a persuasion check.
I'm gonna spend inspiration on this one.
Alright.
'Cause why wouldn't I? Oh my gosh, how do I do that? There we go. Don't fail me now.
Alright. She says, well, you make some very good points. So, would you suggest we speak to the vampires first and try to come to some kind of understanding with them? Or what? Who do you think we should speak with first of these factions? Because it seems like you said that you think we should speak to them all at the same time, but you also said that would take possibly a week to set up, and that these vampires probably will not stay neutral for more than a few days. So how do you suggest we solve this?
Well,
My thinking is merely that if they have something solid to wait for. Right now, Cao Meng says to us, I will keep my forces in check while you go and see if Imperial army can be treated with. And we said, yes, we will do so. And perhaps if we take back word to him that summit will happen and everyone will meet at a certain time, then perhaps better plan can be made.
This is alright. Well, so you will go and speak to this vampire and try to see what he thinks the next step should be. Is that what you're saying?
I'm trying to say if we can form a specific plan, then perhaps we can tell him, well, you can meet with us under these conditions, or you will take your chances at war, which I do not think he wants either. But if we meet with him and say, well, perhaps Imperial Legion will speak to you, but they must also speak to all these others, and we do not know what will happen there, then perhaps he decide he likes chances better other way. I would... what I ask is the commitment from Imperial Legion to see what comes of Summit first. It is unlikely that peace can be found in Isik without having to deal with each of these factions in some capacity. But because everything new here and everything so disrupted, there is no way to make alliance or promise or negotiation because there are too many balls in air. It is, I think, better if we can simplify things. Arrange for everyone to see each other's faces and understand what is at work in the city. That way no one is lashing out for fear of movement in shadows.
I think that if Cao Meng has a specific day to wait for, he can keep the vampires in check.
No, this is fair enough. Well, you said that we would probably have to speak with these factions and plan some sort of overall meeting with them. So that might be the first step. Maybe tomorrow we can... if you feel comfortable meeting with the factions yourselves, then maybe you could go and speak with them and see how they feel about it. And if
Uh,
they... Or go ahead.
The Queen Dainara has already stated she would be happy to receive embassy from anyone who comes peacefully in her court, and that if need be, she would send emissary with us to place of necessity. Elodie has expressed willingness. I think everyone is willing, but no one knows how to make happen. We are left with the unfortunate task of make this happen or else face conflict.
Well, you said the Warforged are an unknown,
Yes, they are still left unknown.
so we might have to figure that out if we wish to include them. And obviously, the Alhoun will probably not be attending any such council meetings, so...
Yes. If Alhun arrive, perhaps we all slay Alhun and then move on to diplomacy.
Well, that's one of the reasons I'm nervous, Bakor says. If the Alhoun's forces are out there somewhere and we try to set up a meeting, who's to say that we won't be ambushed? At least if we set one up outside of the base here. Are you sure that this Dainara can be trusted? Are you sure she will not try to set an ambush to slay all the living, maybe giving her domain over the city once more?
To be frank, I do not believe she has power sufficient to do so.
I see. Says, well, then maybe the first thing to do would be to get information on these Warforged and see if they are willing to speak with us, and then go to the vampires and let them know what we're setting up, so they have a date in mind. What do you think?
I think that sounds pretty good.
I think that sounds reasonable as well. Perhaps we could set up a tentative date to bring to the other factions as we see whether or not they are available, so that we don't have to first make a round to make sure that everybody wants to attend, and then secondly make a round to set the date. Perhaps like 3 days or so. Look at this, 1 day to speak with everyone, 1 day for them to prepare, and then
3 days
day for it
seems
to happen.
A bit rushed, because if something went wrong, we wouldn't have time to adjust. I was thinking more 7 days.
Very well.
Well, remember, Lady Saucefire says if we take too long, there are chances of misunderstandings, and more of our men could be killed. Bakor nods. He says, that's a good point. Still,
If you think that 7 days is needed, then 7 days will probably be fine. I just wasn't sure what you would need the time for.
Says I was more thinking of making sure the other factions were ready and had people to speak, but...
It is true, Meijun. We might require such time to simply make contact with all factions and send invitations. If we are ambushed as we are traipsing about city, they could add day to our journey. Here, there is many days.
Very well. That seems more wise.
Besides, 70th day of autumn. 70. What auspicious number.
And, of course, I wouldn't expect you all to be doing this for free. You are, after all, mercenaries. So what is it that you would like in return for this service?
Each
Well.
member of the tribe gets a street named after him in Issyk.
Do you actually say that?
I'm just throwing out ideas.
Well, I'll chuckle a little bit when Reed says that, and I'll say, for my own reward, my only request would be that if I know that we have already had conversations like this with the Softspires regarding their access to intelligence, but having recently come to my attention that Cao Meng's condition and the condition of his people is of a magical nature and not of an infectious one, I think that it would benefit us all if we could commit some resources into researching the sort of magic that may ail them and how best to deal with it. Perhaps mitigating the bloodlust and the issues that they have with sunlight, or some way to rectify the condition. If we can, between the Softspires and the Izmira, if we can commit resources to that, I think that it will work in their favor and in ours, because they will no longer be, well,
It-
bloodthirsty, literally.
It is true. This is work we would largely need to do anyway, because war here serves not our interest very little. But we had already come to arrangement with Lady Softspire regarding access to magical research or researchers, and perhaps putting the weight of broader imperial force behind it would be sufficient for us, and perhaps, as Meijun says, broadening the topics of interest for research.
Indeed. I think researching the Shadowfell is one thing. Researching the Shadowfell and how to fix vampires is, well, more.
To remove or modify whatever has happened to create these admittedly strange vampires in Isik, yes.
Indeed. In short, I think
Akami-
knowledge is what we value.
And sorry, did you mention how you would research? Did I miss that?
No, we're asking
Okay.
them if they would
Oh,
research, because
Right.
have no
So,
way to do it, really.
Akami says, well, unfortunately, I didn't bring any libraries with me. And she gives you a bit of a silly smile and says, I do have some books on the undead, but, I don't know how I'd remove the draw for blood from a vampire. It seems like that would be a pretty pretty tall order. She says, "Well, what about I mean, you've been to the keep, haven't you? Are there any sources of information, old books or something in there about the undead or the
There is a library there. It seemed quite extensive, if perhaps
Yeah,
less well staffed than it should be.
maybe you could give us a list of books you're looking for, and we could fetch them for you.
Oh, there's a library in the keep, like a functioning one?" She says, kind of brightening up a little.
Indeed, and I mean,
Well,
in fact, it's probably easier if you go there than to bring books. I don't know if I don't know if that's allowed.
I'm gonna step on Meijun's foot there.
she says, well, I would love to visit the library if that could be made possible. I mean, I have no
It
idea
is,
what sort of old dwarven books might be present there.
It is a resource of some value to us, and as we have said, our current goals mostly require knowledge we do not yet possess. So we are cautious about revealing location of library for now.
Give me a persuasion check on that one. So, Malastray looks a bit confused. He says, "Do you think we would do something to endanger the library?"
It's uncertain. The current librarian is not the usual sort.
Says they both like widen their eyes, but there's a librarian? How is that possible?
As I have said, I have encountered many strange things while traveling with tribe through Isik.
Now they look even more interested. They're like, "Who is this librarian, if you don't mind me asking?" Akami says.
Some form of reclusive old spellcaster. He did something to himself to preserve his existence against whatever happened in the city.
Malastray looks at you and he says, "Lich?"
I do not think so. He certainly seemed to be less proficient as spellcaster after whatever he did, which is not usual for leeches.
Huh. Interesting. Wonder how
Seems more like desperate gambit than attempted undead god becoming.
Well, truth be told, I think that his condition is a result of Malik's ritual.
Ah, inflicted. I again, as I say, I did not have much chance to inquire. It is a strange circumstance, but potentially delicate, and we have concern.
I see. I'm curious to know what he did to himself, or what sort of form this ritual put him in. But you think it would be for the best that we not visit this library? Is he turned off by visitors or something?
I do not know. He welcomed the tribe cordially enough, but I do not know how he would take to.
So
It's always been a place of solace for us. This place. So sharing it with others is a difficult decision.
It is not to say we would be unwilling, but merely that we are cautious. I would perhaps better to.
well,
Perhaps better to say that access to library is something that I am reluctant to make whatever compensation you wish to offer us contingent on that as well.
Well, I mean, you can bring me whatever books you wish, but it would be a lot more efficient if I could just see what this library had available. I mean, it might take me a lot longer to do any research just by having you slogging books back and forth. Maybe you could speak to this librarian and try to convince him of letting us visit. Myself and Malistray are both accomplished researchers. We've spent much time in the great libraries of the Phoenix Guild. Malistray nods. He says, I'd be very curious to see what this old library looks like and what sort of information it has available.
Most welcome. I would be willing to at least bring the request to the librarian to see what happens. This seems reasonable enough.
So, as you're talking, Arella suddenly looks as if she's had like a moment of realization, and she says, "Wait, this Lady Dinara, or Sword Queen Dinara, however she calls herself, is this Dinara Aveldi, the daughter of Tywin and Ravenna, the old king and queen, or I guess the duke and duchess of the city back 100 years ago?"
Yeah, that would be her.
Yes, in some ways she has legitimate claim to city.
I see, and she gives Bakor a bit of a look, and she says, "Interesting. Well, that makes a lot more sense. I think we should definitely speak to her, Bakor. If she truly survived the curse, then perhaps she is also an accomplished politician who could help us." He says, "I don't know if she's undead. I don't know if we can trust her, but of course I am willing to speak with her. I'm hoping that I'm wrong." Arella just sort of nods. He says, "All right, well, we've done a lot of talking here, and I think we have a plan. But you didn't answer what sort of... you said you wish streets named after you? Is that really all you wish? As a compensation for helping us? I'm certain I can have that done for you, but it just seems like you'd want more for such a monumental task as allying all these dangerous factions." Kami says, "Yes, come on. There must be something your group seeks. You are speaking to some of the more prolific family members of the Council and the Empire. We can make things happen for you." And she smiles. "What is it that you want?"
We need your aid in a coming battle against Shadowlord Malik, who is not truly defeated.
Give me
And we need to rescue our friends from the Feywild, or not the Feywild, sorry, Shadowfell.
Give me a purse. Go ahead.
And to be perfectly honest, with power to do great things, we are left, or I am left, with wanting little more than perhaps power to do greater things still. But it seems that, in my experience, asking the nobility for greater personal power does not go so well. They begin to be suspicious of you. But things that could help the tribe to be more effective in our various travels and endeavors, that would always be welcome. Although there is very little now that would do such other than magical items, which for the most part are treasured family heirlooms or such, and it seems uncouth to simply ask for such things.
So, Bakor says, Shadowfell. What is the Shadowfell? Malastray says it is a dangerous, negative plane of existence. It's not a place to be traveled lightly. I don't think it would be a place we could bring an army to do any sort of rescue mission. It would be more of something done by a specialist group that is trained to survive in such an environment. Of course, so more a job for a group of specialists like the tribe here. Malastray nods and says, "Indeed, I'm not sure how we can help them unless maybe some of us ourselves went with their group." Bakor says, "A trip to the Shadowfell. This place sounds intriguing." Malastray says, "I assure you, mighty Bakor, it is not, even for someone as skilled as you. Give me persuasion checks with disadvantage, the two of you. As it seems like Akami and Malastray are sort of pushing Bakor away from agreeing to this."
Wow.
He says, "Well, they are putting themselves at risk for us, and if they truly aren't seeking gold or items of power, then I don't see why we can't agree to help them as well." Jazik steps forward and says, "It is out of the question, my lord. We will not have you risk yourself in the Shadowfell. Though I, if you would allow it, would accompany them on this mission." Bakor thinks, seems a little bit hesitant, and says, "Are you sure, Jazik? I would not want to lose you." He says, "I would be fine, my lord. And it would help us pay back our debts to these mercenaries, the tribe." He says, "Is this the deal then? You help us with this peace, and we lend you soldiers of specific abilities to help you with your venture later."
So long as previous understanding with Lady Softspire that we will also receive what assistance you can render with magical research is available, as we can.
So he says, "Yes, we can. We'd be happy to help you research. Well, assuming we can get into the library, I'm sure Akami and Malastray would be more than happy to lend their help, if it's for the good of the of Isik. But as for the favor, yes, I think we could accommodate you in helping to get your people back from the Shadowfell. Unless, as I said, there's a different favor you wish. Perhaps some powerful weapon or something from our vaults." Akami
What sort of
says-
things do you have in your vaults?
Akami says, "I would almost rather just give them something than owe them a favor. You remember what happened the last time the Izmira owed someone a favor?" He sighs and says, "Yes, I do. What do we have? Oh, we have all sorts of things. Treasures won from engagements, deals we brokered to secure powerful items for our family. The Izmira outfit their people with only the best. Just tell me what sort of weapon or armament you're looking for, and we can find you something."
Now that is a rich offer.
He says, "After you complete your help with securing the city, of course.
Of
'Cause
course.
it would require us to go back to the capital, and we would have to take some time to get it to you. It's not something we could get right away."
A bird in hand is worth two in the bush. I'd rather have the help going forward than any magical item that may take some time to get here. I mean, I think time is of the essence with our rescue mission here. We've already wasted enough time.
Well, I, for one, I'm conflicted. I think they are both good options, but I don't relish the idea of even the possibility that somebody died on our behalf for going into a place that they needn't have gone. Which is not to say that I doubt Chazik's abilities in any way, because let me assure you, I do not. But if the worst comes to pass and I die down there, it is what it is. I chose to go in. But if he dies down there because of some debt that is owed to us, I would not love that.
Very well then. There is no reason for everything to be, or for our entire relationship to be mapped out in one agreement. Surely, arranging summit and coming and doing all this, perhaps for this we would accept the promise of what help you can offer in getting us to the Shadowfell quickly and extracting our companion. And I do not expect that the the peace we establish in Isik will be so calm that you will not need our services further. And if we can prove ourselves with distinction, perhaps then we can consider payment from your vault, yes?
Nods. He says, well, that sounds fair. For the time being, we will assume a favor to try to help you get to the Shadowfell, as well as have the services of Malistray and Akami to help with magical research if they are able to visit this library.
Yes, we will have to make arrangements.
Yeah, we can figure things out as we go. He says, I'm surprised you're not as mercenary as I expected from some of the stories. But
coin matters little when death is dealt so easily as in the lives we live. We only want as much coin as we can live to spend, and things that can secure life, well, that is another matter.
He says, well, there's wisdom in that. So, it is getting, well, I mean, it's not too late, but he says, it's fairly late. Do you wish to travel out tonight to go speak with the factions, or shall we wait?
I feel great urgency, but also some reluctance to travel the city at night. I will defer to wisdom of my friends who have traveled city more than I have.
Yeah, it's probably getting close to 5 o'clock now, so it's getting towards evening.
I would say that heading on to speak to the factions would probably best be done in the morning, although I do intend on going to speak to Gowing myself. We had not a whole lot of time to speak before, and he and I just have a lot of catching up to do. So I might spend some time with him this evening, and while I'm there, can potentially apprise him of our conversations.
He says, all right, fair enough.
Would you be amenable to saying, it will always be easier to discuss if we have specific, to say then, if everyone agrees to have summit in 7 days' time at Dainara's court? Obviously, you can take what precaution you need in traveling city, and we would be happy to offer escort ourselves.
Says I'm not as pleased with the idea of having this somewhere in the open. But if you trust this Dainara, then I believe I can trust the judgment of the Misfits.
Misfits?
Oh, sorry, the tribe. Too many groups.
Yeah, Lou is tired. All right. Very well then. In that case, we have exhausted value, perhaps, of speaking, except insofar as you would like to share drink or company, as one might celebrate a new agreement.
As much as I wish I could, I do have some things I need to do this evening, but most likely Akami or Malistray or maybe Lady Softspire could join you, and we will speak more later. He says, it was a good talk, thank you. You've given me lots of wisdom and lots to think about. I will retire for now. And with that, he sort of goes upstairs, heavy footfalls in his big set of armor as he goes to one of the inn rooms that's abandoned up above.
The dream, to be of such high station in life that one can simply say, I am tired, I am leaving. I jest.
Kami sort of laughs. She says, well, I think you have given him a lot to think about. But I am more than willing to share that drink if it's on the table.
I hear Lady Softspire can drink our barbarian under the table.
We're gonna find out.
She looks.
It's been a long time since I've had that much to drink.
Wait, what? I never said that. Malistray sort of laughs at it.
Are you calling my friend Reed a liar?
Oh, no. I just... Wait, what's going on? Malistray just laughs now. It's fine, milady. You're fine. And she looks confused for a second and gives kind of a sheepish smile.
This is known as the rough camaraderie of brothers in arms, as it were.
Oh, I see. Well, you certainly had me going, and she smiles. So you all sit down at a table and begin drinking? Is that the idea?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I'm not actually planning to get super drunk. I just wanted to have some opportunity to socialize and try to build rapport with these NPCs. I don't know that I necessarily want to play it out, but I just want there to have been something.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So you sit down and drink. Akami might talk a bit about the capital, about her days at the Phoenix Guild, and just in general, like missing being in the courts, and talk about the beautiful courts and all the marble statues and the amazing architecture of the capital city of the Teruvian Empire. Malistray might talk a bit about his days hunting mages and engage the group a bit about some of their adventures if you wanted to share with him. Akami, as the night goes on, she is getting a little bit tipsy, and she would say, after laughing about something like, there is one thing I wanted to ask you. Are you familiar with the northern lake behind the keep?
A bit, yeah.
We've seen it anyway.
Well, I was curious about something. There is an island out there, and I'm almost positive that there is some intensely powerful magic coming from it. I was just wondering, were you ever able to go and explore that area? Or do you know anything about what's causing that magic?
I don't think I ever went over there. I did enter Issyk through the lake, but I wasn't really interested in the island myself.
Oh, I see. And she seems a bit disappointed. She says, well, I thought I'd ask. I'm really interested in finding out what's over there. What's causing the magical signatures I'm detecting. But all right, it was just a curiosity. Never mind. If you do end up going over there at some point, I'd be really curious as to know what's going on.
Well, if ever we have copious free time to investigate strange magical signatures, which may happen one day, I will be sure to invite you.
She laughs. She says, yes, any day now we'll all have copious free time. Alright, so anything else being discussed while you're drinking? Like, anything in particular? Are you trying to get any information about anything? Or are you just going to drink and head to bed?
Trying to build social capital so that it'll be easier to push them to do things if we have to, as part of negotiations.
Give me some, I'll say, what sort of skills are you trying to use to build rapport with them? I'm guessing persuasion?
Probably. Actually, I might lean on Arcana for Akami to just nerd out with her about magic stuff for a while.
Alright, so you are focusing kind of on Arcana as you talk to her. Go ahead and give me an Arcana check.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, something's up with my Beyond. It's putting the little clickable token too far away from the actual roll, so when I move it, like, disappears sometimes.
21. All right. So you have quite an interesting conversation, maybe about the Shadowfell and some other magical phenomena. And she seems very impressed by your knowledge and taken by some of your stories of things that you've done. So I'll say that you have impressed her, and as a possible future resource, she might be able to help you with something.
Great.
What about you, Mei June? What are you trying to accomplish out of this interaction?
I would say I'm just trying to be friendly and take it easy. It has legitimately, I think, been a long time. It's probably since before. Well, I mean, maybe when Meijun was in Char, he like had a few drinks at the taverns there. But even at that point, he was worried that he hadn't found Count Meng yet. So this is the first time that he's really been able to take a load off since he left his company. So he legitimately is like drinking to have a good time. He's not like actively trying to get drunk, but he's not really paying attention either.
All right, so more just enjoying yourself.
Yep.
Give me a con save.
Big money. Big money.
How long can you stay coherent enough to be a good social partner to everyone at the table?
So I'm not trying to make an ass of myself. How much inspiration do I have? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you just barfed on your shoes.
Oh,
No,
no.
hold on.
Alright.
You have to make like several checks to barf.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
I'll say you're having fun. Maybe you drank a little bit more than you should have, and you are not necessarily barfing, but feeling sick. And I'll say that at least for a few hours, you're going to be poisoned because
Alright.
you drank too much. So
That's fair.
you might start slurring a bit. Maybe give me a persuasion check at disadvantage.
Are you an angry
See
drunk?
if you're making an ass out of yourself at this point.
We're gonna find out.
Picking
No,
fights?
Oh, wow.
you don't tell me about magic. Let me tell you about magic. So maybe, maybe you're.
Do you wanna swing
Look.
some sticks? I'll show you how to swing a stick.
All right, so you're getting some looks from a couple of the people at the table. Does anyone want to do anything as you see Mei June getting a little bit rowdy?
I'll attempt to kind of cover it up by telling a nice loud story like I told in the tavern about our fight
Yeah.
against Xanthanor, the dragon.
All right. And actually, what are you trying to do with this time, Reed? Are you trying to impress any of them? Or are you just hanging out?
Yeah, I guess I would say I'd be trying to impress them with
Anyone in particular, or just in general?
just in general.
All right. Give me, I guess, persuasion, unless you want to use something else.
Okay.
As you tell stories, maybe performance, but probably more persuasion. Oh.
There you go.
All right, so you actually do a very good job at impressing several of them. And I'll say that Akami, Arella, and Malistray are all very impressed by you, and you think you might be able to get at least a favor from, at least one favor from them in the future, if you want to add that to your resources.
Okay.
Okay, so you're kind of trying to talk over Mei June, keep him under wraps as he's getting a little bit rowdy.
I'll actually take a moment to take an aside from my conversation with Akami and just saying something like, magic is good for more than adventuring, and just pat Meijun on the shoulder and at least remove the poisoned condition in hopes of improving his mood.
Alright.
Thank God. Now I'm no longer. The room is no longer spinning.
Alright. What happened? Alright, so Mei Jun kind of shakes his head, and you're feeling definitely better as the nausea and just kind of uncomfortableness subside a bit as the magics affect you. Kami nods and she says, that's a nifty trick. Sometimes I wish I was some sort of priest.
Trust me, it is not the priesthood that led me to this knowledge.
Oh, I see. Interesting. Maybe you'll have to tell me more about that later. She smiles. All right. So yeah, you're feeling better, May, June, and I guess we could just pass some time and say you
Yeah.
kind of talk to everyone, then maybe all go to bed, feeling good about your encounters for the evening, thinking you probably made some friends.
Well, after we when the drinking begins to draw to a close, I do intend on heading over to see Cao Meng just to update him on our conversations and also to just catch up at length because he and I just had a lot to talk about because we haven't seen each other for some time now. Assuming that I can get there unseen.
How would you get there unseen? You trying to stealth through the city at night?
Yeah, and specifically, I'll leave my scale here because it's clickety clackety.
All right.
Do you truly mean to travel alone?
I do. I think that at least for the afternoon, the way there was fairly clear. It's fairly short.
I think you should at least, Beryl can just turn herself into a mouse or something and, hide in your pocket and just so that you're not completely alone, or
Uh,
That would be up to her, I suppose.
As you're speaking to each other, let's say maybe like outside the tavern, Malistray would actually walk out and say, "Greetings, friends. I was hoping I could speak to you alone about something.
okay.
I'm not
All right.
interrupting, I hope."
No.
nothing tremendously urgent. I think perhaps I can save Meijun enough time that it will be worth waiting. Please sit with us. Let us go perhaps to inn if you would wish some privacy. I believe the Lady Sospire has still left the floor for use of tribe.
He nods and says, "Well, actually, I think I know of a good spot we could speak. I apologize for eavesdropping. Did you say you wanted to travel through the city at night to go see someone?" He looks to me.
Indeed, I had intended to go and speak to Cao Meng more. He and I had just a few minutes to catch up earlier today. It's been some time since I've seen him, and I was just going to go, well, for two reasons. One, to catch up, but B, also to apprise him of the developments of the whole summit thing. It's certainly something that we could do as a group, but I figure as long as I plan on catching up with him anyway, I might as well let him know the details of that while I'm there.
Well, I could possibly help you with that. I do have the invisibility spell, and as long as you don't use any magic or attack anything, you should be able to travel unseen through the city.
Very well. That might be helpful indeed.
It only
said you
lasts
wanted to
an
speak to
hour,
us.
though. Yes, I do. And he sort of motions for you to follow him.
I'll start following.
Okay. So are you all following him?
Yeah.
So he sort of leads you over to like an area back here near the trees where there aren't too many people around. And he says, "I wanted to speak with you about a bit of a sensitive matter, concern I have. While I am a loyal citizen of the Empire, of course, I am a bit concerned about the current political climate within the camp. I don't know if I fully trust the Esmira family to be a good leading influence in the retaking of Issyk. They've been known to be rash at times and often focusing or looking more to conflict and battle rather than to diplomacy and intelligent problem solving.
Well, if you are the Empire's premier military force, then the more problems are solved with military might, the better for the family, yes?
Says yes, and I think that's why the council sent them, is because they believe that this Issyk problem would be solved by military force. But now, as we learn more about the political factions, I worry that Bakor will lean more heavily on conflict rather than diplomacy. He says, I mention this because, well, I don't really know what we can do about this. Bakor does have troops, and he has the blessing of the council. But I think maybe if there are any ideas that any of you might have to be able to assist in giving the soft spires a bit of an upper hand, it could help fix the situation, if that makes sense.
Oh. It took no less than 4 days for such. I have no intention to embroil myself in imperial politics. If there is some way to hand control to some other family, as you so carefully put it, in a city that currently houses 2 imperial noble families, I do not know of one and do not particularly care for any effort to do so. I am very much of like mind with you in attempting to dissuade the imperial forces here from taking military action, but it does not seem it should be so hard to prevent such, even from one like the Azmira, when we stand in a city where the very battleground disfavors any fight. Every battlefield is a rich field of corpses for more dead to rise.
Well, I think that might be what our friend is trying to say, is that not necessarily we should make the soft spires the kings around here, but that if we desire peace, having the Azmira leading the charge may not be the way to go.
He nods and he says, yes, my thoughts exactly. I worry that in the end, Bakor will rely on his military power over a peaceful solution. Because, I mean, mark my word, trouble will present itself in these talks. And at that point, I just worry he will make the choice of aggression over careful and considered approach, as one should in this situation. He says,
Indeed.
I am no friend to the undead. I have been trained to hunt and kill them, as well as those who would abuse magic, but I see the value in diplomacy, especially in this situation.
Well, I think perhaps then answer lies in the army itself. I have spent all of one evening talking to Bakor, but and perhaps I have swayed him with my arguments, but I do not think he is a man to be too greatly swayed. But the army, he's a skilled military commander, and surely he understands that more than supply or numbers or training, the morale of army determines what is militarily feasible. And in a place like Isik, surrounded by the undead, where one may face the risen corpse of your fellow soldiers the next day in battle, a military force can only be pushed so far on campaign. So perhaps easiest path to avoiding more military entanglements is to allow more soldiers to understand what battle in Isik would truly be like. There are enough stories and enough camp talk to go around.
Says, well, so my thought was that when you, or not if, but when you persuade these different factions, maybe you could persuade them towards more an alliance with the Softspire and her words rather than Bakor and his people. And this could gain power for Softspire and give her more of a position of authority if she is being backed by the factions.
Perhaps so. I do not necessarily believe that the action on our part will be required to accomplish such when your lady here is a young and charismatic noble with no inclination to battle, and the Asmira leadership here are 3 battle-hardened wielders of light who have already slain vampires throughout the city. But
I, for one, think that the group with the most leverage in this summit is us, and it's not because we're necessarily better than everybody else. It's just because we're the only ones that anybody knows, and many of them trust us. So I think
that is true. Perhaps
says-
our word has weight.
Yes,
I'm sure that it does.
you are trusted by these factions. We are all outsiders. They are much more likely to listen to you than any of us. But I apologize. I was not meaning to push you into a decision right now. I just wanted to mention my concern and let you think about it. Of course, you should progress however you think is best. But I think a Soft Spire-led Peace Summit would be much more, I don't want to say valuable, but a more secure venture than one led by the Asmira. And I think Bakor would respect the decision of the factions if they were to ally with Arella's word over his. So
Indeed.
think about it and do what you think is best. For now, I will give you that invisibility spell I promised. And with that, he would chant, touching Meijun, and Meijun would vanish. And he says, "Have a good evening, gentlemen. I really did enjoy the drinks we had, and I'll see you tomorrow." And he
All
walks
of it.
off.
And Meijun, if you do not go herring off yet just because I cannot see you, come here. I still do not think you should go alone, although I respect your desire to talk to Kalmeng privately. Perhaps I can accompany you. In addition to invisibility, I can grant us ability to fly, make it easier to traverse city. Does not seem there are many flying predators about, and you will be much quieter if you do not have to touch ground.
Not
That's
since
true.
You killed the dragon.
Not since you killed the dragon. I'll say that's true, but frankly I don't think that it would be necessary. I think that with invisibility, there's not much that a ghoul can do, or a revenant even. And without my armor on, I don't make a ton of noise.
Well, then you have 1 hour. I do not think it wise, my friend, but if you will go, then... Here, I'll reach over to where Reed is standing and have my spider crawl out onto my hand and pass it on to Meijun. Take Tema with you. She will protect you.
No, it's okay, really. I appreciate your concern, but I think I'll be alright. Like I said, I plan on taking pretty much the same path back that we took to get here, and it was fairly clear this afternoon. So at least I'll know what sort of areas to look out for.
Can make an insight check to see if he's being compelled.
Sure. You guys can give me insight checks.
And out of character, how long was that walk?
It was... I mean, if he was running or, like, moving swiftly, he could probably get to the hole in about... I'll say... How far is that? It's like a half a mile or so. So, I mean, you'd probably get there in, like, I don't know, 20 minutes. He's a barbarian, so he could probably move quick.
Yeah. I think most people walk like 3 miles an hour or something like that.
Yeah. So you could probably get there fairly quickly. Insights, I don't know. Do you kind of... It kind of seems like you also might want to have a talk with him privately. Would that be a fair insight?
Yeah, I would say so, and I think that was, as much... Well, yeah, and I'd say that's... Because I think I had made it pretty clear that I wanted to catch up, but I think I had never specifically said that I wanted to talk to him privately, but you would probably pick that up with that check.
Yeah, and you probably would know, being that you've... well, hasn't someone in the party had familiars in the past?
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah.
Meijun?
Reed?
Nikolai?
Or
maybe
Nikolai, yeah.
Nikolai.
So
Yeah,
you
somebody.
probably would know that familiars can sometimes be used to spy and listen in, so that might be part of your hesitation. With the insight check, you might think that. If that's a fair assessment, Najun.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair.
All right, so
Take that.
with the 16 read, that's probably what you'd get.
Okay.
Well, far be it for me to go where I am unwelcome, but do be careful.
I will do that.
All
And then I'll pop over to whatever room. Wait, hold on. We're up at the top of the tavern, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, do we? I mean, we could probably talk about that later, unless there's something
Yeah.
that you think would be,
Nope.
substantial
That was
for
my.
this game.
No, that's totally fine. I was planning on because we had been, we sent a few messages over the course of the week. I was assuming that this
Yeah.
was basically the opportunity we had to have that exchange.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
So we could say
yeah,
that's what was involved.
Yeah, I'm just popping up to the inn to take my armor off, so I'm not clickety clackety, and then head over there.
All right. So the night would pass. Give me a D20 roll. Someone.
Oh, I love these.
Does anything happen? Nope. The night passes without issue. So it is now the 64th of autumn at 7 a.m. You would awaken. I'm not sure. Did you sleep in the inn or maybe out?
Yeah, I think so.
Out in the.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were at the inn. That's fine. There are plenty of open rooms, so they probably would have offered you one. So yeah, you awaken. You kind of get your stuff together. I assume May June you'd be back by then, right?
Oh yeah, I probably went over there for I don't know, maybe a couple hours or something like that, just reliving the good old days, etc.
Alright, so you would have to move back through the city without invisibility.
Mhm.
Well, actually, let's say he sent some people with you. Maybe a couple of his minions, and they kind of made sure you didn't have any trouble getting back.
Fair enough.
Okay, well, not like they didn't know where the camp was.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's say, why don't we take like a 5-minute stretch break?
Perfect.
Sounds
That
good.
sounds good to me.
All right, and we'll be back at 7:40.
Great.
Oh, I just realized I was muted. Ian, you said you were interested before in the Thursday game, yeah?
Yeah, I had a message from Darcy not long ago. So yeah, I think if you've got nobody else pinned for that, I would be okay to slide in. I think I have because before the most recent edition, she and I had sort of established a little bit of a backstory tie-in as well. So I've got a character ready to go that I think would do very well. Her and I asked her, more or less in game, what sort of um, ally would you be, in the market for? And I think I've got something that would be well tuned to the party, such as it was.
Well, it did fill up again with that 6-person, but one of my players, one of the other players said they might, well, they said they will probably have to duck out next month because of school. So
Right.
they'll
That's
be,
the wizard, right?
yes, that was
Yeah.
the Warforged wizard.
Gotcha. Yep, that's what she had apprised me of today. She said, "Hey, by the way, that we had another slot open up," and I was like, "Well, all right." So now I just got to figure out where the money's coming from. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can swing it
All right.
because I had already sort of budgeted for it. So
Because I know this would be your third game, so you're.
Mhm.
Of course, I appreciate the support, but I, also want to make sure I'm not like just stealing your lunch money or something.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
need to
trust
play
me,
D&D.
I
Take all
do.
my money.
It is an
Ah!
addiction. I enjoy it. It bringing me back to the good old days of the 5 days a week
Oh man,
series.
yeah,
That was good stuff.
it's college all over again for me.
Yeah, that's pretty
Although,
much
Never had more than
man. Yeah, it's pretty much what I'm doing now. Even though they're not all yours. So the only days right now that I'm not playing or running is Sundays and Thursdays. So
Jesus.
we'll go back to just Sundays.
no,
Even at my peak, I never had more than 2 weekly games.
Oh no, I've got fucking issues. There was actually fairly recently, I was on Wednesdays. I was playing a game that started. It was from 6 to 9, and then I was playing another game that was from 8 to 10. So I had to miss an hour from. I think I would alternate every other week, dipping out early or showing up late to the other one, and then eventually, legitimately nobody complained. But I felt I was like, this is what am I doing? What am I doing? Just disrespecting these people's time. I gotta make up my mind on one of them.
yeah, I know. The most I think I did in college was 2 or 3 games a week. I think 2 was the average. I definitely didn't run 9 games a week, which is what I'm doing now. So this is actually way more than I did in college.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah, we've got obviously May, June, and Ivor Chernin. Sim, if you're not busy on Tuesdays, watching the Tuesday games, a fucking hoot.
Yeah, my nights are sort of taken up. I'm on bedtime
Yeah.
duty most nights. I gotta get someone to spell me. So
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got a pretty, actually a pretty rowdy May June equivalent in there. And then on Wednesdays, I've got a Goliath monk, who's actually my first character and my longest going campaign. We used to play in real life, and he's sort of evolved into a bit of a Kratos because he's got chains now.
right, you mentioned that. Yeah, I got the rundown on this guy.
That's right. Yeah, that's him. And
Good old rainbow damage.
Yes.
Resistant. Who cares? Right.
I don't know if I told you or not, but I might have already told you, but I have the Blood Fury tattoo as well now. So you slap on a bunch of necrotic. Yeah, that game is all sorts of overpowered. We're level 10, and we've got legendary items and shit. He just likes to just give us fucking goodies.
It's the style. Is Reed back? Are we ready to roll?
I'm ready.
Oh,
all right.
All right. So, next morning, as I said, you all kind of wake up, you're hanging out, and you would hear some kind of commotion going on downstairs outside. As you're kind of getting your things
go
together.
check it out. Yeah.
All right.
I'll stick my head out the window.
So it seems like something's going on at the front gate. There's a bunch of soldiers over there talking, and there's some yelling, and
Okay.
it looks like one of them is wounded. As he's kind of like limping, and you see another one's got like some like an arrow sticking out of his shoulder, and another one's kind of bleeding. So are you heading down?
Yeah, run over.
Yep, I'm already downstairs. Yeah.
Get in
All right.
there.
So you get down there, and the soldiers see you coming, and they're like, "Oh, tribe, we've had to. Well, I don't know if it was a misunderstanding or what, but we were we were scouting the area near the cathedral, and we were attacked uh, by. Well, I think I think it was some sort of metal men. They were firing arrows at us.
Oh, they're already there. Okay.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, we lost one of our scouts in the attack. Do you know anything about this?
They are likely from below. Ancient things called up by disturbance in city.
We have to talk to them.
Yes, well,
Well,
they
I
were on the
don't-
list.
He says, I don't know if they can be trusted. They seemed very hostile towards us. We lost one of our soldiers in the fray, and they all seem kind of pissed off and riled up at this point. Like, why would they just attack us? We weren't even going near there, or we weren't bothering them, and yeah, the guards seem all riled up. What is the group gonna do?
I think time is of the essence. I think we
Yeah.
need to speak to them before something else happens.
Give report to superior officers and let them know that the tribe has gone to investigate matters. We will leave now.
He nods and says, "Be careful. They could be hostile."
Tim just grins and keeps moving.
Yeah.
All right, so you're headed north towards the cathedral.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so you're moving through the foggy, misty town. Moving this way. Give me a d20 roll.
Oop. Typo.
That was the nat 20 right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
All right. Anyway, I started swinging.
All right, so you're moving north, going through this area.
I'm gonna eat 17 ghouls to the face.
Get shot by a bunch of warforged.
Are you moving carefully or just kind of quickly to get up there?
I think quickly.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Alright, so when you get up to this point here...
Uh-oh, I don't have visibility on the map. If you have... Oh, wait, there it is. Sorry.
it should be
map.
over here.
Yep. Thank you.
Alright, yeah, so as you're coming up this way, you hear a bunch of noise coming from the north. And a large familiar creature comes into view.
Oh, fucking hell. All right. Yep. Yeah.
Although it's not actually that big. It's basically moving
Okay.
kind of down this way. And it does see you because you were moving quickly, and it looks like it's coming towards the group. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna move to engage.
Alright, so you're moving up to fight it.
Yep.
Give me 1 moment.
How tall is this thing?
It's about 12-ish feet tall. It's pretty big.
Okay.
And hang on, I think if you haven't seen it before, it looks like this. It looks like several different creatures were used to create this big bony thing.
Okay.
And it's stomping south towards you. So,
Oh man, we don't even have an audience. I want everyone to see us be this badass.
Who knows? Maybe the Warforged are watching.
give me a moment to find a battle mat for this. Use this one. Turn on the lights because it's foggy, but it is daytime. All right. So I'm gonna have you coming up from the south, and you'll see the creature in the north in a moment. So Sim, May, June, and Reed. And you don't have any NPCs with you, right?
Nope.
Alright. So to the north. Oop, where'd it go? There it is. Raw. This big creature is coming, kind of running down from the north. I'm going to start at the top of the map. Go ahead and give me initiative rolls.
All right.
And I always have terrible initiative in this game, it seems like.
Alright.
don't
So the
have-
first to act is May June. So this creature is stomping down towards the group. It puts its arm up, and you see it readying several spears to fire towards you, as you've seen these do in the past. What do you want to do?
Beers, okay.
Bone spears.
Oh. Okay, and he's well. So on the map anyway, we can't see him, and I assume that's obviously intentional. But we saw him off in the distance, more or less, from like
Wait,
the
you
north
can't
by
see him?
northeast.
Nope.
Not right now. It might
Well-
just be because he's too far. That might
Yeah. No, you should be able to see him because it's daylight. Hang on, let me make sure daylight's turned on. No, it's not. That's why. Now you should see him.
Ah, there we
Okay.
go.
All right. Yeah. So then, based on that, oh, what am I doing? Okay. Yep. All right. So I will. I'm gonna run 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 feet. And I will take the dodge action.
Alright, so you rush up, readying for the attack.
I just gotta use the tree as a little bit of cover, maybe.
Yep. So the creature goes. It sees you run up, and it is going to point its several arms at you as a bunch of bone spears fly out. So it takes 3 attacks, all of them at disadvantage, and you have cover. 2 of the attacks would miss. However, actually, they might all 3 miss. Yeah. 2 of them would have hit, but luckily the disadvantage and cover saves you from all of them, and they just kind of hit the tree. It then kind of moves south, 15, 20, and kind of moves up onto this hill as it approaches. Still aiming at Mei June, trying to get a better shot. Reed.
Thanks. All right. I'm going to see it move up on that hill, and I'm going to cast a 20-foot sphere on top of that hill, encompassing it, and cast.
Alright, so there is an explosion of psychic energy, and it has to make a. What is that? An intelligence saving throw.
Hope it's not good at those.
It is not. Oh wow, it rolled a 17. Wow,
Oof.
it still failed. That was a really good roll though. I was like one away from critting. So it would fail and be zapped by psychic damage, taking 34 points, and now aiming its spears at you.
I am going to take whatever cover I can take behind these trees here.
Okay.
Does that still have extra effects on a failed save? I forget if it does cool things.
I don't know. Does Synaptic Static do anything else?
After a failed save, a target has muddled thoughts for 1 minute. During that time, it rolls a d6 and subtracts the number rolled from all its attack and ability checks.
Okay. Sim, what do you want to do?
Well, gonna move there, and I'm just gonna cast good old Bless. Gonna bless the whole dang party. Cause
Yeah.
as it turns
Miss,
out.
what's that?
Yep.
Alright, so you begin concentrating as you cast Bless, and you are all affected by Bless.
And then I'm going to take the rest of my movement because that was just the square I could cast Bless from on everyone. So let's go. Oh, I can't get that far out of cover though. Well, that's fine. Hopefully it won't think I'm dangerous.
Alright, at the end of its turn, it's going to fire at Reed. Or at the end of your turn. But I think you said it had minus a d6?
Yep.
Alright. So a bone spear comes flying at you. Oh, but it rolls complete garbage. And
Hot
will
garbage.
miss. As it flies past you, yeah, hitting the tree in front of you. Mei June, what do you want to do?
Alrighty, so here we're gonna go. We're gonna start swinging. The elevation that he's currently at. Well, so based on where the mounds are, if I were to like move just more or less straight east, like here, would he be within a 10-foot swing of me, or is he like up?
Up on the hill, you'd probably have to be adjacent to him if you want to use your reach.
Okay.
Unfortunately, 'cause,
So-
yeah.
That's okay. So if I was here, I would be within range of him.
Yeah, you could. I mean, the hill's not that big, so.
Okay. Very well. Then I'll move 5, 15, 20, 25, 30 feet. And, we'll give out a great big bear roar and begin swinging recklessly, as I do, with the Great Weapon Master and try to lay the schmeat down.
Alright, so you swing at him recklessly. 19 would strike with the first attack. So that is 19 damage as you slam your Guandao into him.
Okay.
Second attack, 13.
And that one, I've
yeah.
got, I think, Bless.
Bless.
I was
Use
trying
that
to set
bless.
it up, but I couldn't,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
couldn't figure it out. D4, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
D4. So a 17 would strike as you cut into him again. Another
What?
20.
I'm taking credit for half that damage.
Yeah, you certainly can. You certainly can. And we'll go ahead and action surge for good measure and just keep the swings on coming.
Alright, you swing a third time. Bless. That would strike again. For another 23. Crack. And the fourth one would strike again. For another 22. Alright.
Are you serious?
Yeah, this is the shit that Meijun lives for. He just fucking runs across the battlefield just fucking loud as shit because there's a big old hulking fucking thing and he's just excited to swing at it.
Alright,
And,
so
yeah.
you break a bunch of bones with your attacks. At the end of your turn, you would take 8 piercing as he explodes a bunch of spines on you. A bunch of bones hit you. Which you're raging, right?
Correct.
So you take
Yep.
4. He's gonna look towards you. He can't actually do what he wants to do because he didn't draw his melee weapon yet because he was firing his spears. But on his turn, you will see him put his arms back and draw a bunch of great swords out, holding, I think, 3 of them, as he swings them at you.
3 great swords. That's gonna be a good time.
He has an advantage, I believe.
Correct.
So he
why am I?
actually-
Sorry, I'm still marked at dodging. Let me take that off.
He
So-
can make another save to see if he shakes off the minus d6.
Is that at the beginning of its turn or end?
At the end. Yep.
So that's how long does that last?
1 minute.
Yep.
Alright, so he
So they'll all
It's,
be with advantage, but I think they'll all be with a minus
yeah,
d6.
so roll a d6, Reed. Let's see what the minus is. Alright. So that does actually prevent, or does it? What should we see? That prevents one of the hits. But
Okay.
he strikes, actually misses with 1, that prevents 1, and he strikes with the 3rd one, dealing 20 slashing, which is half the 10, as he cuts you.
Nice.
Go
He
power
is then
support cat.
gonna move around this way and end his turn. Reed, what are you gonna do?
Same thing as it did last turn, except cast it right there.
Alright, you let down another synaptic static as there's an explosion of energy, mental energy. Int save. Nope, you definitely fail that one and take another 31, and he begins to look wounded from the onslaught. He stumbles a bit. At the end of your turn, he is gonna swing at Meijun again.
Really legendary actions.
Love him.
Great sword at advantage. Oh, did I just freeze? Oh, no, there we go. D6, please. Although I think that's gonna hit regardless. Yeah, that hits. So you are slashed again for another 18, which halves to 9. As he is swinging wildly, but you are just taking it like a champ. Sim, what are you gonna do?
Well, I'm down to cantrips.
Oh, and
But,
he
you
is
know.
wounded. Wait, didn't you just do a long rest?
No, I'm kidding. I'm holding concentration and I don't want to
I was
blow a
gonna say,
different spell yet.
I was like,
I'm
how
not
do you-
Cantrips. You just started
I'm
the
kidding.
day. Alright,
No.
so you-
At this time, cantrips are the best call for me, so I'm making
Yeah,
cast
yeah,
a
yeah.
Sacred Flame.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Alright, so you chant hurling
Wait.
radiant energy, right?
Yep. Oh man,
So,
that's 3d8.
dex
Is it?
save.
Yeah. Look at it.
That's foul.
143 on 3d8.
He would make it. So he
I think
sees the
there's,
fire coming and steps out of the way as they fly
Yeah.
past him.
And I think it's a check, not a saving throw.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. Yeah. All right.
Not that good. Alright, and then I will duck behind this thing.
Alright, so at the end of his turn, he's gonna make, or end of Sim's turn, he makes another swing at Meijun. Well, no, he did not roll very well on either of those, and you would dodge it. Huh. Even
Excellent.
though you were reckless. Meijun, it's your turn.
We're gonna swing.
Alright, so you cut into him with the first Guandao slash. Huh. 25, alright.
Whoa, double crit.
Double crit!
See, this is this is this is karma for that one time that I used inspiration and got
Yeah.
fucking snake eyes.
So 29 points of damage for the second.
And we'll do the backswing as well.
Alright, so you send the bludgeoning end of your weapon at him. 19 would strike.
Oh, sorry,
I didn't
it looked like it didn't
yeah.
go through once, so.
Doing 36 bludgeoning.
Fucking A. Love it.
And he is looking pretty beat up. At the end of your turn, you take 8, which is halved to 4. As more spines explode on you. And for its turn, it's going full out again, swinging 3 times with advantage.
Yep.
Alright?
Yep.
Alright. So... I think it got you with all 3 there, even with the minus d6, because, yeah. Well, give me the minus d6. But... yeah, no, it's still... I don't even know why I had you roll that. No, it would still hit you all 3 times. I'm a jerk.
Jeez. Lucky.
I'm a jerk.
Alright, so...
Roll for hope. You have no
Roll for
hope.
Yeah, exactly. Wahaha! Alright, so he strikes you for 25, which halves to 12, 16, which halves to 8, and 25, which halves to 12.
Alright.
So this thing is just cutting into you, swinging like crazy, but you are taking it, and that would be the end of his turn. Reed.
I don't have anything better. I'm just gonna use my last spell slot. Do it one more time.
Alright, you lay down another explosion of psychic energy, which would rattle him to the core, and he falls to pieces. And the group is safe. What do you all want to do?
I'm going to let out a triumphant bear roar. I'll do I don't know how to describe the gesture. I'll take my arms up in front of me, close to each other, and then bring them down to the sides and roar up in the air, and apply a little second wind.
All right.
I'm gonna
You take a breather.
pick up one of those great swords and take a look at it.
They are not the best condition. Pretty old-looking weaponry, but the thing is swinging it so hard that it's still hitting pretty, doing a good amount of damage. So yeah, you don't think it's usable, but not necessarily good condition.
Okay.
Other than that, it doesn't really have much. Though, if you have alchemy or arcana, you might be able to glean something about this.
Well, I think maybe Beryl might be able to do something like that.
Sure, she says, I can get essence. And she runs up and starts taking out her supplies. And she will get 30 gold pieces worth of skeleton monstrosity essence off of it.
I'm gonna drop a sacred flame on its corpse anyway, just in case. There's just too many things to get back up again.
Yeah, no good.
Alright, so you give it some more burning, but now it doesn't seem like it's moving.
Great.
You think this is less undead and more of some kind of deranged golem.
Oh. Well, that's fun.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it was a creature reanimated. It just seems like something put a bunch of pieces of creature together to make this.
Alright. Well, I'm probably still just gonna do that anytime I feel the need.
Yeah, you had fought a bunch of these before in Isik. You're kind of maybe curious who's creating all these or when they were created.
No. Yeah, I think I can say I think that loosely speaking, when we went into Isik before, we had more or less described all of our encounters.
Yeah.
So you probably would have heard of it at least.
Yeah. No, I'm just
Yeah.
being
that's
silly.
fine. Yeah. No, you can fucking light it on fire.
Radiant damage. Alright, so I assume the group is continuing?
Yeah, we want to see those Warforged.
Yeah, we're on the
Well,
move.
I mean, like maybe an hour, being a warlock and all.
Threw down
Taking
all
an
the
hour
semantic
off, like,
statics.
Let's just take a little nappy poo.
Do you want to rest here, or do you want to keep going?
No, we're gonna keep going.
I want to at
I
least
think-
get closer to the cathedral.
I just want to, yeah. If there's any other scouts about or something like that, we don't want situations to worsen.
I'm confident in my ability to get us all out of Dodge if need be.
Alright, so you are moving along here. Give me another d20 roll.
Man, how many of these we could do?
It's another monstrosity. My body is ready.
No more monstrosities. You would make your way across the bridge. And
when we get sightline, I'm curious what we see from just outside on our rapid approach.
So I was going to ask, what's your high passive perception with the three of you?
15?
15, yeah. I think it doesn't get much higher than that. I think Beryl has a 17.
So,
But she's not
as you approach the cathedral from the distance, you would note several figures kind of outside the gates, like using the walls as cover. Looks like they have bows, and you would also see some on the roof keeping watch. You don't know if the group has been spotted yet, but they don't seem hostile towards you. At least not yet. What do you want?
Okay.
I'll keep walking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think, I'm gonna specifically, I'll take my wand down and I'll kind of like, I'm gonna hold it in both my hands and kind of rest it in the nook, like, of my thumb, and like kind of hold it above my head, not as like a surrender thing, but just as like just to make myself known. I'm clearly not trying to ambush anybody.
Alright, so you're approaching in full sight of them?
Yeah.
Alright, so you begin to approach. As you do, you see several of these Warforged kind of draw back their bows, and they're now definitely looking in your direction. Do you want to keep approaching, or what do you want to do?
I mean, if they've drawn on us, then I'll at least slow down. Are we within shouting distance here?
You're probably, you're like a couple 100 feet at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could probably start shouting at them. One of them would step forward and say, the cathedral is home to the Warforged. We are not permitting any fleshlings to enter.
Ah, it is well then that I wish to speak with you and not to enter. I gather you are servants of Demi Prime?
How do you know of Demi Prime, the Warforged says?
Was mentioned by one of your siblings, kinfolk, compatriots? I do not know the word.
Give me a persuasion check.
Did we get that guy's name? I don't think we did.
Nope.
I don't remember it.
That was a really quick conversation.
Yeah, we got an affiliation, but not a name.
Yeah.
Heyo! I'm
Yo.
glad those have been rolling high this session. They're
No
fine.
fucking kidding.
He is silent for a moment. Then he says, you may approach, but do so with your weapons stowed.
It is for
I'll,
this reason I carry no weapon.
I'll shout out, like, somewhat sarcastically, but also like just somewhat just trying to illustrate transparency. I'll say, it doesn't really sling anywhere. Can I just put it on my shoulder? Is that okay? It legitimately doesn't sling, so I don't know how seriously he's taking the stow command, so I don't want him to think that I'm not doing it. It just doesn't do that.
Do you not have a place on your back where you can put it?
It's like fucking 7.5, 8 feet tall, something like that. I mean, you could.
I
don't know how that would work.
I will glance back and say, Meijun, if you would trust me,
Okay.
I will have it hovering telekinetically about 10 feet behind us.
Oh, that's neat.
So That's fine. So you keep it back there. So as you approach, he says, "What is your business approaching the cathedral?"
Uh, there are many parties who are interested in your presence here. We came, among other things, to invite you to summit of interested parties. It would do you well to know what happens in city after being absent from surface so long. Yes?
He considers this and he says, "Well, I cannot speak for our leader, but I can inform her of the summit and see what she thinks about it. Are you who is hosting this summit?"
Uh, as of yet, there is no formal host, but the location is proposed to be the court of the Queen Dinara.
And who are all of you? Are you emissaries of these? He would say, "Who are all of you?"
Nothing. We are of the tribe, friends to many. I am called Sim.
He says,
My name is June.
Yes, I'm
nods.
Reed.
He nods as you all introduce yourselves, and he says, "Are these? Is this Dinara the one who had sent scouts trying to sneak into the church?"
I do not believe so.
No, that would be the
Imperial forces. Yes.
He says, "Who are these Imperial forces, and what is their business trying to enter our structure?"
I believe they feel they have some claim to the entirety of city, but they also did not expect to find anybody here. So they would rather speak than fight, I believe. Surely you must forgive trespass of scouts sent in ignorance of your presence.
He says, "We take those trying to sneak into our cathedral as a hostile action. Are these people going to be at this summit? These ones who tried to break into the cathedral or sneak into the cathedral?"
You have many questions for one who does not speak for your leadership, but I believe it is intention that they be there.
Give me a persuasion check.
Gonna get borked by one of these eventually. Is this the one?
Nope. So he would kind of nod as you say that, and it almost looks like he's distracted for a moment. Then he looks at the group and says, Have you been in the cathedral before?"
Myself, I have not.
yeah. I will say yes. Some of our members have, yes.
He says, "Did you examine the hollow point within the basement?"
Yes, we did.
I see. So you are the liberators, the ones who had cleared out the undead who were in the church.
Yes, we did.
Demi Prime owes you gratitude for helping clear this place for our arrival, and she would invite you to come and speak with her.
Very well. Demi Prime, this is your leader?
Yes, she commands the Warforged forces here. She served the dwarves long ago, but we cut our ties to them and separated back within the last cataclysm cycle. We have been underground for quite some time and have recently re-emerged as the threat of the undead became less of an issue for us. Since the fire of the cataclysms kept us below, then the other fleshlings, and afterwards the undead. But she has decided it was time for our people to rise from the vaults of Kultora. And he says this as he kind of leads you inside. So you get inside, and there are quite a few more Warforged inside. Looks like they are moving about and turning this cathedral into some kind of large forge. As you see, they're building several areas where fires would be kind of burned and could be used for smelting. But none of them look complete yet. It looks like they're doing quite a big undertaking as they move a bunch of the holy symbols of Palor and the old gods aside and put in all these new forges. You see that the altar, the ebony altar, is still in place, though. Do you want to do anything?
Just wait, I guess, to speak with this leader.
I want to give the altar a once-over to see if it looks more or less identical to the one near Chiron's library. But I'm not gonna like walk up and examine it. I just if I don't get a close enough look.
I mean, not. It's hard to say if it's identical, but it does look very similar.
Could I just, you know, I'm not like, you know, staring at them, but I just kind of want to assess the room and see if I can get a decent gauge on how many Warforged in here and more or less how they are geared. Like I know that they are metal already, but just trying to gauge the force.
So most of the Warforged in here are what look like laborers. They don't actually have weaponry on them other than like some hammers and tools that they are using to build the forge itself. There are a couple of guards who are kind of moving around, keeping an eye on things. Right now, most of them are just watching you all as you move through. Probably maybe 10 or so guards who are actually armed, and maybe like 30-ish Warforged doing work.
Okay. And these guards, like swords and shields type?
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough.
If any of them make eye contact, I will cheerfully wave and grin and shout, "I greet you," across the noisy workshop floor.
They don't seem to have mouths that smile. It does look like they have metal jaws, but they don't visibly react too much to your waves. You might see like a nod from one or two, but none of them really acknowledge you with a wave back or any type of smile or anything.
Okay.
So they would bring you downstairs, at which point you would see two large, look like iron golems, standing at the top of the ramp, which you saw before, that has now been uncovered. And they ask you to wait here as the Warforged heads down the ramp. You would see the hollow point is there, and a bunch of pillars. It looks similar to before, but a lot of the bodies and rubble has been cleared, and the place has been cleaned up a bunch. Do you want to do anything, or are you gonna just wait?
I'm curious to see how these iron golems are different in form or style from the sewer golems, which I think were of elven make.
Yeah, so these iron golems, do you have history?
Nope.
Alright. They definitely
I think our only history buff is Gamork.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they definitely look to be a different style, and those in the sewer were stone, where these are pure iron. They look like they're probably a lot tougher and a lot more solid. But a moment later, as you're waiting there, you feel heavy footsteps as a very big creature comes walking up the ramp. The creature towers above you, standing at about 20-ish plus feet, with large contraptions for look like very dangerous weapons for hands. It walks up the stairs and looks down upon the party. Its eyes glow, and a female voice says, "Demi Prime greets the ones known as the tribe." And she nods her head at you, looking down upon you, tiny people. She says, "We thank you for your work to free the city from the undead. While we were not involved in your adventures, we did observe you from your use of the Hollow Point, as well as your visits to the library within the keep of Isik."
Well, as far as freeing city from undead goes, the work continues, and perhaps you are invited to join us at this stage.
We have done much to secure the cathedral and turn it into a place of creation, much like the vaults below are. But we have no real interest in the city outside of the cathedral, only to protect this place as ours and as the new nation of the Warforged people. I won't say solidarity, but separate from the nations of the fleshlings that rule around us. We have no interest in the politics of the outside empires.
To be honest, neither do I, but if you would safeguard this place for any length of time, a nation needs diplomats too.
Give me a persuasion check.
Is this the one that's gonna kill us all? Yep.
So,
just kidding. It's not that bad.
No,
Maybe worse.
Yeah.
So the construct regards you and says, what'd you say they need?
Diplomat.
Diplomats are useful for those who wish to interact with outside nations and neighbors. We have no such interest, as we do not have trust from most fleshlings and would prefer they keep their distance. Present company excluded.
Well,
I think the real concern here is that whether you want to tolerate their presence or not, you're gonna have to. There are thousands, perhaps, of humans making their way here. Maybe not thousands, hundreds at least. And they certainly mean to cleanse Isik in a way. Now that the Shadowlord Melek no longer holds sway here, they've come to exert their influence on the place, and who knows what they're gonna do. Maybe make it a trading post. It doesn't really matter. There's a lot of them, and they're gonna be here, and I think it would make sense to have some sort of peace in the conversation, because you can, I don't know, ultimately either parlay with them or ignore them. But if you ignore them, then they're probably just gonna try to steamroll you, which is nobody wants
certainly
that.
it does not require trust to engage in diplomacy. In fact, diplomacy often necessary because parties cannot be trusted.
Indeed.
So she considers your words and says, Shadowlord Malik, a known associator with the Dark Necromancer Shadowlord Gaivok. 12th cycle caused quite a bit of disruption within the Dwarven Empire. Is this being present in the area? You say he was defeated.
Kind of. He's no
Defeated.
longer on the plane, but he's not dead.
The massive
Probably.
construct considers your words for a moment, seemingly maybe a little bit worried about this information. The Warforged of the Vaults wish only to create armaments, weapons, and of course more of our kind. Magical creations, formulas of the past. We wish to preserve our lineage through creation, through forging. Soul forgers and forgers of new and magical weapons. So, can the fleshlings be made to understand that we do not wish to be involved in their power grabs and just to be left alone?
It
Some
may
of
be
them-
possible, but not if you do not speak to them. In silence, armies often assume hostility.
you cannot tell them this for us. You, I assume, have sway with them, or at least contact with them.
Less and more than I would like.
Some of them could be swayed. There's another that would seeks the power of the altar that is in your church.
In the interest of keeping the ghouls at bay, of course, rather than wandering through the city.
Who is this one who seeks the altar, and why do they seek it? The ebony altar is a dark and dangerous item of power. It cannot be destroyed safely, so we have been keeping it for now until we figure out what to do with it.
Well, the power of this altar has at least once been unleashed, and ghouls travel city freely. If we are to contain them, its power is perhaps easiest or perhaps only way.
And she considers this. Although, actually, this might be a good pause time, because we are at 8:30, and the rest of the group, or at least some of the group, hopefully, would be back next week to join in the chat. So why don't we do MVP votes?
Okay.
Excuse me. Hopefully I can get some sleep tonight. Alright, got 2 votes. And Sim is MVP. Congrats.
Yay.
Nice. Man, I forget how much Man, I fuck heavy with Bless. Bless is my shit. So good.
It's basic in its first level, but it's not to be ignored.
Man, it's so good. Fucking average 2.5 to hit. That's a +2 weapon on top of whatever you got.
I mean, I'm giving up a warlock spell slot for it, but that 1 level in cleric still feels pretty good.
Nice.
Alright, well, I'm just taking some notes, but you're all free to take off if you want. And
Okay.
I'll see you next week.
All right,
Night, everybody.
Sounds good. Good night. I did have a question for you. Well, I guess maybe a few questions pertaining to the Thursday game. I guess more or less.